There's something that Doug Carter said in a conversation with Kelsey German, and like a lot of things that are said between the two or by either of those people, there's a certain very small, insignificant faction that like to take these quotes and run with them in any manner that serves their own purpose. Doug said to Kelsey that, he sees the family are, I can't remember how he said it, walking that line, or they are choosing that middle path, that straight through the center sort of thing. And there's a couple of cases that don't do this. And I think contrary to what this certain subset likes to try to make the lowest common denominators believe, contrary to what they want you to think about this, I think Doug is praising the family for walking that line between, being caught between investigators and the investigation and news media and being grieving families, and they do a really good job of it. This is what you could interpret him as saying if you had sort of an open heart, a bit of an open mind. Now, sure, be cynical about a lot of things, right? But couldn't this be what Doug Carter means? Because we can see in a couple of cases where these poles are being explored by families. So we've got, I think his name's Steve or Stephen, the father of Kaylee, who is one of the Idaho Four who was brutally murdered in November. And he's going one specific way, and that is full steam against law enforcement, running his own show, really racking up the media, or rather being really racked up by the media, who just want their blood, right? They want their payday, they want their fodder, they want their main line, okay? And that's one step away from the fence. And then on the other side, you'll hate me for this, but it's a good example. It's Galen Rose. Where is Galen Rose talking about her 4 girls who died in the Flora fires? I don't want to get into what I believe about that, but we have on one hand a person who, he's so grief-stricken and passionate, and he's trying to catch this killer, and he thinks the case is going cold. He's not qualified to see how the investigation is running, okay? And he's not qualified to interpret if indeed he does have, say, autopsy results from 2 women, from his daughter Kaylee and from Maddie, to compare. He's not qualified to interpret that with the scene and everything else, okay? But he's emotional, and he's running on, he's running on the love for his daughter, right? The smell of an oily rag and adrenaline. This is great, but he's not walking that line, that middle ground, which the German Patty family have done, using the media, working with the media, working with police. They're not, so they get so shot down and dissected and disseminated and egregiously bullied for how they operate. But I think it is valid to state that what Carter might actually be calling out as a good thing, like recognizing in them, is how they have walked that very difficult line, how they have conducted themselves with the, how they have run their relationships with law enforcement, with the media, with their family, with their emotions. It hasn't always been perfect, and then Galen Rose. Okay, so whatever you think about what I'm saying about that, so Flora Fire's mom, whose daughters all died like flowers in the attic in Flora in 2016, crickets. And, although she's had some great advocates, she has had family members, maybe aunties of the girls, doing a little bit of speaking at the start. But crickets. And then you've got the Patties who work with media, but they're not feeding those wolves, they're not feeding the goblins that want to go out and feed those lowest common denominators too much. Although in some ways that's what's happened, because of course everything they say is spliced and diced and disseminated, right? But they're walking that line. They're not doing one or the other. They have been steadfast in that. Whatever you think of them, whatever the truth might be, whatever comes to fruition about the stories of Abby and Libby and the outcomes eventually for justice for these girls, you have to respect how they have walked that line. And I think that is what Carter is acknowledging, and it's not what some are trying to insinuate. Okay, so my personal feeling is Stephen needs some good advisors. I think it's great that he's got private investigators, excellent, but he needs to have someone also giving some really good advice about how to talk with media and how to do, sure, be out there every day, I would be, but he needs to, he doesn't realize, but he's fanning the flames of social media, the diabolical side of social media, not intending to. He doesn't want the case to go cold. He wants all four to, he wants the case solved. He wants justice, okay? He needs to get the support of the right sort of people. And I think this is what the families, Abby and Libby's families have desired and tried to do. And perhaps you could be a little kind or step back a little and think, well, yeah, maybe that is what Carter is saying when he's talking about how they've done this, because the treatment that some people are getting, it's really, it's quite demonic, really, you could nearly say. Anywho, that's my piece. Sorry, I'm rather sick at the moment, so this is probably not very good. None of my content's been good these days, and I might have to be backing off a little bit for a while as well with things that are going on. And I'll talk to you about that in another video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about what I'm saying. You might know the footage that I'm talking of. Hopefully you do. I'm just assuming that you do. And I'm assuming you know a little bit about the Idaho 4 and the Flora fires, as well as Delphi. And do you think there's some merit to what I'm saying? See you later.